Hey, it's Luke, the founder of Friday, and in this video, I want to walk you through what I think is definitely the future of the office. And to give you some context, I just came across this really awesome post from, I believe it's Magana, People Ops at Loom. For those unaware, Loom is a asynchronous video tool. It's a great tool, by the way. I strongly recommend you check it out. Um, and in this post, she basically outlines what they are doing. Now, keep in mind, Loom definitely has gravitated towards being more of a remote first company. I don't think it's mentioned in this post, but to my knowledge, they've hired remotely for a while, but they certainly have had a company HQ in the Bay Area. And yeah, so anyway, long story short, they're kind of what I would consider at the cutting edge of this. And I think there's just some really interesting insight here. So I'll just kind of read and walk through the post, and then kind of break it down a little bit more and why I believe that this is absolutely the model for the office in the future if you're going to have an office. So yeah, let's start. What happens when you give your employees the option to come into an office but don't require anyone to do it? Right. So this is key. This is saying you have complete autonomy and freedom to show up when you want. So some organizations do not offer this. So I think this is in many ways like a real world test of how compelling, how big of a draw is the office in a world where employees have complete freedom. So anyway, here's what we learned in an experiment we ran in the Bay Area for the last quarter. So 4 months, what, 3 months? Yeah, 3 months. 3 months is a quarter. Of employees who live within commute distance, only 56% came in at least once during the quarter, which is really interesting, right? So they're counting, did someone show up once in the last 3 months? And what they found was 56% showed up. Okay, so that's pretty low. Only 6% of employees came in more than twice a week. And this hasn't changed as COVID numbers have dropped. So you kind of, we see this in a lot of the other survey data. Basically, you have kind of like somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10% of your employee base who are just like, I need the office. I need to leave my house. Maybe, I live in a cardboard box or I live in, a closet. I need to get out of the house for whatever reason and I need to go to the office. So we typically see in other survey data, I believe Gallup had similar data, something like 9-10% of employees want to go back to the office. But in this instance, only 6% of employees came in more than twice a week, right? So this suggests that there's a kind of a habit of going into the office. And so it also hasn't changed. Continuing on, we have peak days where 25 to 30% of employees come in to collaborate and hang out, typically on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Once again, this is to me the biggest nugget that this is like the takeaway is what is the role of the office? What is the job to be done? Why, like, what is the incentive? What is the motivation that will encourage people to show up? And so I think that from my perspective, this post kind of illustrates it. They're showing up to collaborate and to hang out. And what you also see is that there's kind of this, I don't know if I'd call it a network effect like characteristic, but if you know that a bunch of others are going to show up on a given day, it increases the reward or the benefit for you, right? And so you see there's kind of like this swell of people that say, I'm going to show up on a Wednesday. Maybe it's once a week, maybe it's once every 2 weeks, maybe it's once a month, and I'm going to show up to like do that brainstorming, the whiteboarding, and like, let's just hang out. Let's just have fun. Continuing on, our office has primarily become a social and collaborative space, and we're adapting to this new reality by building clubhouses in multiple cities versus traditional office. I love this word. I think this is such a great way of framing the role of the office and the value that it provides in a world where remote work is, in many instances, the new normal and the default. You can see the design inspiration for Loom's first clubhouse in San Francisco below. Know anyone who'd be great at working with us on this? Send them my way. So let me just enlarge the photo. Yeah, so what you'll see, and I'm not going to comment very much on the design and the aesthetic because that's not really something I know too much about. But I guess overall, like it looks pretty cool, right? And but what really stood out to me here is that this clubhouse model, I am unconvinced. So if we think about utilization, right, in Loom's instance, if we think about utilization, I think that we're going to see a gravitational pull to build out these clubhouses, but to book them out uh, to basically allow multiple companies to show up to these clubhouses, right? So imagine like a commercial office agent, or someone does a build out. It looks like this. It is not hyper specific to the company, but it's based around the idea of the clubhouse. And then they allow 5, 10, 15, or 2 companies to book out this clubhouse. And so yes, there will be some coordination problems at times, right? So if 2 companies want to book a Wednesday, that may create issues. However, I can see a world where one company gets a day of the week. And so I guess, like, here's my point here. This is totally the model for the future. This is such a great example of where the future is going. And I think there are just absolutely enormous implications for commercial real estate. So I know I've been kind of beating on this drum for a while, but this is probably one of the first examples I've seen. This clubhouse model I think, will be quickly adopted because it just makes sense, right? As a fan of remote work, there's absolute value in meeting up and hanging out in person. And what this model does is it really doubles down on that. And so I'm really excited to see what they come up with in the future. But yeah, just some food for thought for you as you kind of think about what the future holds. Thanks and have a great rest of your day.